Can you hear that? It's going to be all those people watching Loki who didn't realize that Loki is gender fluid and queer. We're going to be hearing the outcry pretty soon, everyone, because it's Loki Wednesday. I'm not going to be talking about Loki, the streaming show on Disney Plus, but it is an incredible show. Well, all right, I've only seen limited data points in that analysis, but what I've seen of Loki so far, I like. Should we do something fun? What are we doing for? Oh, I have a. Let me get to something first, right? This is a little guess. This gentleman here. We're going to be talking about him. Can you guess what crime he got a 10-year sentence for? This gentleman right here just received a 10-year sentence in jail, not on the good ship Lollipop. No, in jail for 10 years. Do you know his crime? Or can you guess what crime it is? You can put it in the chat. I don't know. Winner gets 10. If you guess correctly, we'll give you 10 points. How's that? Not that points mean anything in the greater scale of things in terms of the heat death of the universe. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. My name is Andy Hall. It's comedy, blasphemy, and news. Let's do something funny.
Do I spend all my free time on D&D, or do I devote volunteer hours to coordinating and executing a weekly event series that emphasizes emotional intelligence, collaborative storytelling, and team-based problem-solving and strategic resource management? Dad.
To tell you the truth, I'm envious of that gentleman who made that TikTok, because he's actually having a conversation with his dad. Wow, that went dark, Andy. He didn't have to go there. All right, let's see. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Is it gonna be that kind of show this morning? It's gonna be that kind of show. Let's see what we're doing. Oh, hello. Tobin Templeman here first. Oh, besides, of course, it's my show. You would think I'd be here first, but good morning, Tobin. Dr. Mordecai, no thumbs up until Andy gets to work. Well, sir, I am officially at work. You may thumbs up. Jessi Bear, glad to see that you're here. Simply Secular Dave from the West Coast. John Hudson. June 6th insurrection. I like your guess, Dave, but no. Once again, Dave was answering the question of, or today's quiz of what this gentleman got thrown into jail. Well, he got convicted for 10 years. And Dave guessed June 6th insurrection, but no. It's actually kind of weird. It's weirder than that, everyone. It's just weirder. And more bodily fluidity. No, it's not that bodily fluid and has nothing to do with kids either. I just want to say that. I need 10 points. Oh, Dr. Mordecai, you're singing my song. 10 points at this point. 10 points of meaningless points sounds nice right now. Wildy, if I didn't say hello to you, let me say hello. Derek Cruz, Jess M. I don't know if I'm excited or exhausted by kids' summer vacation. My heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. All right. So what are we doing? Let's go over some stories. What are we going to cover this morning? We're going to cover that gentleman, the mugshot that we just saw. I'm going to be unveiling what he got, why he's going to jail for 10 years. A consistent story that we're covering, of course, is the spread of COVID-19 amongst the unvaccinated. Yeah, all the links are in the description, by the way. Don't look if you're guessing who this gentleman is either, because that would be cheating, right? Sure, there's a link in the description about what this guy did, but this is about guessing what this guy did. So don't look in the descriptions right now. Southern Baptists, it turns out the Southern Baptists don't want to be transparent regarding sexual predators in their midst. Who would have thought that, right? And Texas, what the F? Texas, what's wrong with your power supply? More energy problems, more electricity outages in Texas? Sure, as the girlfriend stated. Andy, if you have trouble with in the winter with electricity. More than likely, you're gonna have trouble in the summer with electricity. It's like, good point. So those are the stories we're covering, everyone. Let's do some memes. I got this Bo Burnham song, White Woman's Instagram, going through my head. That's what I was playing before the show came on. All right. I showed a Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, J.S. Bach. There are a couple of Bachs out there, to tell you the truth. But here's another Bach meme. Flash Bach. Sorry, not sorry for the stupid joke, everyone. If you haven't been seeing these Anakin Skywalker and Padme memes, they've been blowing up throughout the internet. This is something that is near and dear to my heart right here. I save people from being thrown into a pit of fire to burn forever. Padme goes, "Who's throwing people in a pit of fire?" And he just gives it the coy look. Who's throwing them in there? That speaks to me personally. And of course, I found this on Jonathan M.S. Pierce's Facebook profile. He shared it. And if you don't know Jonathan M.S. Pierce, brilliant man. He runs the Tippling Philosopher blog on non-religious Patheos on Patheos Non-Religious channel. He's written several books. He's been on this channel several times. Brilliant guy. And this also spoke to me personally. Maybe this shows more about my personal dysfunction in my brain, but let's go with this. One day I was born, then everything bothered me, and that brings us up to date. That seems to sum up my life, right? I don't know if that sums up your life. I hope it doesn't sum up your life, to tell you the truth. Hey, B, glad to see that you're here. Is this heaven? Ba, 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 or is it a white woman's Instagram? So let's see. Yeah, I love that song, Jessi Bear. The Southern Baptists are saying they are new and kinder Southern Baptists. They're actually not. They are doubling down on being Southern Baptists. I know it's hard for us to even imagine that, but yes. All right, so we're done with memes. Let's go to the first story. Once again, the kind of quiz we were running is why is this man going to jail for 10 years? Simply Secular Dave thought, hey, maybe it was January 6th insurrection. A good guess, Simply Secular Dave, but it's gross and has to do with bodily fluids, and here it is. Man who assaulted and spit on person who asked him to wear a mask, sentenced to 10 years. You read that right. Did this guy spit on someone? Yes. Did he try to gouge their eyes out? Yes. All just because he was asked to put on a mask properly, because he was dick-nosing it. Oh, my fictitious God. Let's get to the story. According to the police report, this guy, Michael, coughed, spit on the victim, and said, "If I have it, you have it." This Iowa man has been sentenced to 10 years behind bars for assaulting another man who asked that he adjust his face mask. Shane Wayne Michael, 42. Man, that's a rough 42, everyone. If this is your 42, this is a rough 42. Speaking as someone who's going to be 53 in a few weeks, if this is your 42, that's a rough 42. A lot of wear on that tire. Shane Wayne Michael, 42, was sentenced on June 9th after physically attacking and spitting on a man at a Vision for Less eyewear on November 11th per Des Moines Register. According to the complaint, Michael of Saylor Township followed Mark Dining out of a retail store located at 3945 Merle Hay Road after the man asked him to properly adjust his face mask as it sat below his nose. A simple request. It's like, hey, you're dick-nosing it. Can you just pull it up? Michael claims, the assailant claims, that the men exchanged words, but witnesses identified Michael as the aggressor. The men got into a scuffle, during which Michael, this gentleman, coughed and spit on Dining. Oh, wait a minute. I got ahead of myself. I'm sorry. This is the crazy Jews right here. Michael tried to gouge Dining's eyes out and kicked him in the genitals. In self-defense, Dining bit him. And you know what? I'm not a big supporter of biting someone in a fight, but if someone just spat on you and is trying to gouge your eyes out, if that's what you have to do, if that's what you have to do is bite someone, okay, sure. Oh, man. According to the report, Michael coughed, spit on Dining, and said, "If I have it, you have it." After the incident, Dining had a swollen left eye. Michael was convicted of willful injury, causing serious injury by a journey, which is a felony charge per the New York Times. So this lad is now 10 years in jail. I hope he doesn't get time off for any kind. I don't think he's going to be a model prisoner either, everyone. If he's just in a parking lot throwing down over someone just asking him to pull his mask over his nose and trying to gouge out the guy's eyes, major malfunction. Let's check out the chat. That is crazy, Dr. Mordecai. That is pretty nutty. I moved during COVID lockdown. Now I have to ask people, does this ask? I moved during COVID lockdown. Simply Second the Day goes. Now I have to ask people, does this address make me look fat? Well, you've been working through the COVID lockdown, Dave, so I don't think you've probably put on any weight. Right? Jessi Bear. How he tried to gouge out a dude's eyes just because the guy asked him to cover up his nose. Indeed, John Hudson. And it was good to see that you're here. The human mouth is absolutely disgusting. It can cause horrible infections. I say this dude deserved to bite. Oh yeah. If anyone deserved to bite, if I was the biter, I would want to clean my mouth out with every. I don't know. It just getting that dude in my mouth, disgusting. All right, so that was the first story, everyone. I wish we knew where this guy was so that we could send him letters. So we could just say, hey, some pointers about life. Maybe you shouldn't be trying to gouge people's eyes out in the middle of an optometrist, in the parking lot of an optometrist's office. All right, what's the next story? Oh, hey, you get to share a video. This is exciting because Juneteenth is now an official federal holiday, and that does not suck, my friends. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this without the soundtrack because it's Amazing Grace or some kind of trite Christian propaganda song. And I'm not going to subject you to it. I had to hear it myself the first time. It's still a powerful video, even without the crappy music to it. So let's play this, celebrating Juneteenth being a federal holiday. Thank you, Democrats. So there you go. What's interesting about this, my girlfriend's from Texas, and she told me that Texas not being in the center of the action during the Civil War, it took a Union general walking into Galveston, basically telling people, you got to release all your slaves. It's over. This chattel slavery is over. And now it's a national holiday. Of course, you'll hear probably Republicans saying that this is another example of white genocide, right? This blood and soil group are not for Juneteenth. But this is great. This is a step forward. And once again, yeah, let us not be silent about the things that matter. As Hitch would say, there is long enough time to paraphrase Christopher Hitchens. There's enough time in the grave to be silent. Speak up now while you have time. So Juneteenth, national holiday. Tell me if I'm off base on this, chat. If the Republicans could, they wouldn't get rid of Juneteenth, but they would probably try to fix something like Lee and Jackson Day on Juneteenth too, right? Because as we all know, I believe it was in Virginia that there was a holiday commemorating General Lee and General Stonewall Jackson. Checking out the chat. That would be a great letter for the man who got 10 years in jail for attacking a dude for just being asked to pull up the face mask. Well, you know what, black female atheists, you are correct. The only way to move forward in this country is to recognize our and address our bad past. This is true. This is true. And, you know, there's been, reconciliation commissions in other countries. You know, in South Africa, I believe there's one trying to be made in Canada right now, Truth and Reconciliation Commissions, to help expose what happened, for lack of a better word, the sins of the society. And I would like to see a Truth and Reconciliation Commission on a federal level here in the States. Yeah. That's great, John Hudson. My daughter's company pays them for Juneteenth off. I think my girlfriend's company does too. Actually, I was in an interview yesterday for a job, and they told me, yes, you will get an extra federal holiday because Juneteenth is now an official federal holiday. And it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. All right. So what are we doing? Are we doing the next story? Look, natural selection, artificial selection is a thing, right? We know that. All of us who are watching, we're skeptics, we're pro-science. We understand what a scientific theory is. And when we say the theory of evolution, it's not the same thing as smoking a spliff and contemplating your hand, right? It's different. And what we're seeing now is I don't know if it's art, someone correct me here. It's artificial, maybe it's natural selection in terms of people refusing to get vaccinated and the fact that COVID is burning through those people, through that population. Let's take a look at this story here. Well, I gotta find it. Coronavirus infections dropping where people are vaccinated, rising where they are not, post-analysis finds. Once again, once you hear it, it says, oh, that makes perfect sense, that people who are unvaccinated with the Delta variant, I believe it's 6% now of all COVID cases in the US at least, are Delta variants, super transmissible. The vaccine is effective against it, but you have to have the vaccine for the vaccine to be useful. Let's take a look at the story, everyone. States with higher, this is just us saying words that we already know, right? That are obvious. States with higher vaccination rates are now have markedly less coronavirus cases as infections are dropping in places where most residents have been immunized and are rising in many places people have not, a Washington Post analysis has found. States with lower vaccination also have significantly higher hospitalization rates. The Post found poorly vaccinated communities have not been reporting catastrophic conditions. Let me say that again. Poorly vaccinated communities have not been reporting catastrophic conditions. Instead, they are usually seeing new infections holding steady or increasing without overwhelming local hospitals. I was taking a look county by county here in Massachusetts, and there's a wide disparity amongst people who are getting vaccinated. Middlesex County, higher than the state average. Nantucket, yes, I said Nantucket. Nantucket County, absolutely dismal. in terms of people getting vaccinated. So the moral is don't go to Nantucket this summer because hardly anyone is vaccinated on that island. Nationally, 43% of eligible Americans are fully vaccinated, and the country is averaging under 16,000 new infections a day, levels not seen since the early days of stay-at-home orders in March 2020. 10 states, concentrated in the deep south and rural west, the rural west, report fewer than 35% of residents are fully immunized. Excuse me for coughing in your ears. So now we're just going to talk about some of the counties where people just aren't getting vaccinated. Missouri's Polk County, where less than a quarter of the population of roughly 30,000 is fully vaccinated, has reported nearly 90 new infections in 1 week, an increase after several months of decline. Michelle Morris, the county's public health administrator, said infections are concentrated among students after the school year ended May 21st and clusters linked to Mother's Day and graduation gatherings. Immunity isn't widespread enough to naturally stop the spread. We are going to continue to see what we are seeing as so far as the daily case count, Morris said. Unfortunately, we are going to see increased hospitalization, and it worries me we may see additional deaths related to it as well. Well, that makes sense. If you're having more infections, you're going to get more hospitalizations and probably more deaths too. In Wyoming, Sweetwater County, population 44,000, authorities are at a loss for what else they can do to achieve herd immunity. You know, everyone, we've talked about incentivizing the vaccine for people, right? We've talked about lotteries, giving away free marijuana, Sam Adams is giving away beer. But incentives will not work for everyone. There are just some people who are so stupid, who are so indoctrinated that they will not get vaccinated. And those are the people who are going to suffer the most with the new variants coming. While the rest of us are going to do much better. Sweetwater carries the unfortunate distinction of being the county with the steepest increase in infections in the state, with the most new infections per capita in the country. Only a quarter of its residents are fully vaccinated, and public health officials don't see the number budging much higher. Gene Stacken, Sweetwater's county health officer, said officials held mass clinics, brought vaccine doses to employers and churches, and accepted walk-ins at public health office. They have sacrificed extra doses in a vial to vaccinate at least one person, but demand is minimal, even as the virus still looms in the community. 2 people died of COVID-19 in the last week. 8 emergency room patients were diagnosed with coronavirus in one night. We will be seeing more of these stories as we enter summer and we go into the fall and flu season. Vaccination is not always even within each state. The Post found the connection between vaccine shots and coronavirus cases at the local level, comparing more than 100 counties with low vaccination rates, lower than 20% of residents vaccinated, and more than 700 with high vaccination rates, at least 40% vaccinated. Counties with high vaccination and low coronavirus rates that are going down. In counties where few people are vaccinated, not only are there higher cases, but the number of cases is also growing. So, for the last, what did we just cover over the last 2 minutes? Basic evolution 101. But let's not forget what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. I don't believe in evolution. I believe in God. I'm going to see the chat. Hey, Paul Kamish. I posted Paul Kamish's funny video on, I could give a tutorial. I'm going to back up a little bit, everyone. If you ever have a question, will this get me banned? Will whatever I'm doing on social media get me into trouble? Send me a message, right? I just had a friend of mine got something banned off of Medium because of the title of her post. And Paul did this great clip showing how he pranked this conspiracy theorist. And due to the title, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Paul, you got into some deep trouble, right? I mean, I think you got a ban or a timeout on YouTube. So I don't have many skills, everyone, but one of the skills is not getting banned, not getting put into timeout on Facebook, and being able to say outrageous things at times, and do outrageous things too, without getting into too much trouble. So if you ever have a question, right, and maybe we can just do an open room someday and just talk about tricks on how not to get into trouble on the different social media platforms. But Paul Kamish, I posted your video on my blog, Laughing in Disbelief, yesterday. I hope you're getting new views. I hope you're getting new subscribers from that. Yeah, Paul can't. And here's the thing, everyone, right? Paul can't stream for a week just because of not the content of the video, but I believe the title of the video. It's the same thing with my friend on Medium. Got into trouble because of the title of the video. Because the AI, as we all know, it's mindless. It just looks for certain words. It identifies the words, and then that's it. You're in trouble. My heart goes out to you, Paul. Let's see. Scott Duke. Better late than never, Scott Duke. I'm glad that you're here. I think I'm very disappointed I'm not magnetic. I don't know. Maybe if rub yourself on, I don't know. I don't know how to help you with being magnetic. I'm sure there's some kind of service or homeopathic remedy that could make you magnetic, Jessi Bear. Jessi Bear says, Juneteenth is on my kids' calendar. Great. Made me happy as I've corrected the history taught in their old school. Yeah. We're lucky we have a district that isn't whitewashing everything. That's great. Yeah, I found that I've had to do some remedial education with my kids about history. All right, so I think I covered everything. Oh yeah, John. Yeah. It is. It's merciless, to tell you the truth. The algorithm is merciless. All right, so let's do halftime show. I think we're doing halftime show. And by the way, we are doing the after party after show. The link is in the description in case you want to come on. It's an open room for atheists and progressives, and we can just talk about anything you want to talk about. To tell you the truth, I'm pretty open. I am topic fluid. That's what I am. I am topic fluid. Please hit the like button. As West Coast Secular Dave said, Andy, you should just write down a note to ask people to like the video. And here it is. It's halftime tummy rub show. It's whatever we do, like about 30 minutes into this show. And so we're going to do something funny.
Happy Saturday, Rich's Bar and Grill. My name is Tom McGovern. This patio smells like vomit. You're on the other side of the bar and I can't hear anything that you're saying, but I'm gonna nod and point my finger at you to pretend like I can. Hey, real quick, if you asked me to play a song that I don't know how to play and I told you that I'd go home and learn it for next time, I was lying to your face. All right, let's get this over with so you can shut the fuck up about it. This is exciting. It's Stephanie's 22nd birthday. Make some noise for Stephanie. And the birthday girl wants to hear some Justin Bieber, but she didn't tip me, so fuck that. Be careful if you order the tacos. I saw the chef drop one and put it back on the plate in the kitchen on my break. Oops. So I told you at the top of the show that you could request anything released after the year 1965, right? Rock, pop, country, hip-hop, doesn't matter. You chose Ignition Remix by R. Kelly. Yeah. You fucking moron.
I do want to. So that was hilarious. I've seen some of his videos before, and I believe I shared the first video in that series. Yeah, Wild Eden says that's a great idea about just talking about titles, right? I've been blogging for well over 10 years, and I've told the story before. I'm going to tell it again. I was at a comedy convention. Yes, we do conventions, by the way, conferences, and I was talking to a guy from The Onion and a writer, and he's like, yeah, we were talking about trying to figure out how many words to put in a title, because they should be under 8. Pro tip, everyone: the shorter and the punchier the title of your video or your blog post or anything that you're doing on social media, the better. And try to use keywords too. So those are 2 tips right off the top of my head. Free advice from someone who's been doing this gig for a while. So so titles are exceptionally important. Let's see. Tubby Rum. All right, so let's do the, oh wow, 158 views on your video. That's good. That's good, Paul. And all right, so I'm gonna take another step back and talk about how I titled Paul Kamish's video that I shared on my blog, Laughing in Disbelief. I specifically said that there was, I believe, a skeptic pranks a conspiracy theorist. A skeptic pranks a conspiracy. So that's like 6 words, maybe. Short, concise. People love to see pranks. And so I thought that would get the most views. All right. So what are we doing next, everyone? Right? A small digression into how to work the algorithm and how not to get into trouble, to tell you the truth. Texas? Are we oh no, we're talking about we're talking about Southern Baptists and how they don't want to be transparent, even though they have a bunch of pedophiles in their midst and sexual molest. And oh man, it just gets me. It's exactly what you would think. America's top evangelical group is deciding if they're further right than Trump. The quick answer is yes. The long answer is yes. Southern Baptists, that's the evangelical group that we're talking about. We know that they are the tip of the spear for theocrats in this country. They are the unofficial cult of the United States of America. They are loud, they are well-funded, they are organized. Southern Baptists are gathered this week in Nashville, Tennessee, for an annual meeting that could prove a turning point as the faithful square off on an array of divisive issues that some fear could drive a wedge into the largest Protestant denomination in the U.S. Tuesday marks the first full day for the event, in which the voting members of the Southern Baptist Confederation, or I'm sorry, I used the word confederacy, confederation, Southern Baptist Convention could tackle high-profile issues using racial discrimination, gender inequality, and gender abuse. And everyone, in case you don't know this already, allow me to drop this bit of historical fact on you, is that the reason why there are Southern Baptists to begin with is because they sided with slavery. There are other Baptists, and then there's the Southern Baptists. And the Southern Baptists were like, slavery, Confederacy, that's what we're all about. So, in case anyone ever tells you that they're a Southern Baptist, you can always bring up that little talking point. So, what have they done so far in their conference? Let's see. An effort to address sexual abuse was blocked. I'm shocked and astounded. The Southern Baptist Convention, and I'm going to call it the Southern Baptist Confederacy. That's what I'm going to do. The Southern Baptist Confederacy announced last week that it hired Guidepost Solutions, an independent investigation and risk management firm, to review the group's handling of internal abuse issues. However, during the Southern Baptist Confederacy's executive committee meeting on Monday, leaders rejected a request by Jared Wellman, a Texas pastor, to amend his agenda to consider expanding the third-party investigation of the leadership's handling of sexual abuse claims. Let me say that again, in case you missed it. However, during the Southern Baptist Confederacy's executive committee meeting Monday, leaders rejected a request by Jared Wellman, a Texas pastor, to amend its agenda to consider expanding the third-party investigation of the leadership's handling of sexual abuse claims. How do you think they voted? Would that be no? Yes. That Wellman's amendment would have required the Southern Baptist Confederacy to appoint an independent task force to receive the full report from Guidepost and relay its findings to the entire convention. There's no way they were going to admit that they were going to allow that. And they didn't, no. And also in a controversial move last year, the Council of Seminary Presidents of the Southern Baptist Confederacy affirmed a statement in which that while seminaries condemn racism in any form, they agree that affirmation of critical race theory, intersectionality, and any version of critical race theory is incompatible with the Baptist faith and message. That statement caused a backlash among some black pastors and several left. So what did we cover so far? It turns out that the Southern Baptist Confederacy, they don't want its members getting information about how they handled sexual abuse crisis within its organization. And of course, they hate, critical race theory, intersectionality. Let's take a look here. And for those of you who didn't realize this, the Southern Baptist Confederacy's political goals remain conservative. According to the Book of Reports, the organization will continue to lobby on its conservative political positions, lauding the Southern Baptist Confederacy's recent efforts to join in cases against an abortion industry that has attempted to use the pandemic as a pretext for their horrific agenda. I don't understand what that means. That the abortion company has attempted to use the pandemic as a pretext for their horrific agenda. I think that's just word salad. And also the SBC continues to work tirelessly to defund Planned Parenthood. We will do the blah, blah, just Southern Baptists being Southern Baptists. In case you wondered, I'm sure some of you have wondered, sure, they're horrible. Sure, they don't want transparency about sexual abuse within its own, within its own organization. Sure, they're not for racial equality. And sure, they want to lobby and try to defund Planned Parenthood. But are they against the Equality Act, which prohibits discrimination based on sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity in public accommodations, education, federal funding, all that? They oppose it. And they also oppose the Fairness for All Act. Fascists, everyone, have you ever been on a date, like a first date or a second date, and the person that you're dating, that you just happen to meet online, and they just say something horrible about themselves, like, I like to get into arguments, like with my partner, with my romantic partner. My ex-wife told me that when we were early on in dating, and that was a red flag. The fact that she told me, is this about me now? I guess I'm making this about me. But she told me, I like to get into arguments with people I date. It's like, yeah, that should have been a sign right there. That should have been a sign. The Southern Baptist Confederacy, the Southern Baptist Convention, they tell you who they are. Hi, we hate freedom. We hate equality. We hate women. Not really fond of black people either. They tell you who they are. 29 comments. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Rage is in the chat. What's up, Rage? John Hudson, 7 Facebook bans in the last 12 months. Maybe I should just work as a consultant. I can help you stay out of the trouble bubble. Here it is, Rage. The Southern Baptists are babies compared to the IFB and the NFIB, but I agree that they might be the largest and most well-funded cults in America. All right, yeah. Oh, here it is. Simply Secular Dave goes, titles are important. Chris masturbates on camera, not allowed. Chris demonstrates self-care techniques, totally allowed. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, it's an idea, Paul. After my ban, I'll use your title and put the small clip up. Sure. Well, it was a Freudian slip, and I am going to be referring to the SBC as the Southern Baptist Confederacy. Might try to think how to use that in a post or a video. All right. I think I covered everyone here. I hope I got everyone, or I touched base with everyone here in the chat. All right. What have we covered so far? The man who got 10 years in prison for trying to gouge out another dude's eyes and spat on him because of a mask-related issue. COVID-19 is burning through the unvaccinated, and it's going to be a continuing story we're going to be touching on for the next couple of weeks or months, or I don't even know. Could it be years? Will this be like 2 or 3 years down the line, and we're going to be talking about the decimation of those who didn't get a vaccine from COVID? Maybe. Juneteenth, national holiday, Kalu Kalay, yay, USA. Oh, I think that was a rhyme. Maybe iambic pentameter too. I don't know. We haven't talked about Texas yet. We just talked about the Southern Baptists. We haven't talked about the Texas. Who would think, everyone, that Texas still has problems with its electrical grid? Who would have guessed that Texas didn't resolve its problems during the winter? Let's talk about this story. Well, that's right, Rage. The Delta variant is burning through a lot of other countries right now. And right now it's 6% of the cases here in the States. Officially, it's probably more than that, of course. But it's gonna affect the unvaccinated. Okay, next story. Oh, I did sing part of Bill Burnham's White Woman's Instagram too. I think that was the high point of the show. I love that song. Unplanned outages hit Texas power plants in soaring temperatures. One official said he was deeply concerned about the number of offline plants. You know, rocks are hard, water's wet. Of course, Texas is having problems. It had problems before. You know, my psychology teacher, one of my psychology teachers, said the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. That's somewhat depressing, everyone, and I understand that. Sure, people can change. But by and large, past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. As with Texas and its electrical grid, let's jump into the story. Links in the description below. Officials with Texas's power grid operator pleaded with residents Monday to limit their electrical usage amid soaring temperatures and a series of mechanical problems at power plants. The appeal from the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, well, we've heard of those guys before, comes 4 months after deadly blackouts during a winter storm left millions of people without power, and weeks after state legislators passed a package of measures aimed at fixing some of the problems exposed by the storm. Officials with the nonprofit group, which oversees 90% of Texas's energy production, asked residents to set their thermostats higher, turn off lights, and avoid using larger appliances until Friday. A spokeswoman for the group told reporters that the outages accounted for more than 12,000 megawatts, enough to power 2.4 million homes. Some areas of the state, including Dallas and Tarrant counties, were warned about poor air quality and potentially dangerous heat, with a heat index approaching 110 degrees. Sure, it's 110 degrees out there, but you know, we didn't really fix the problems with the electrical grid. Sorry, not sorry. A senior official with ERCOT, Warren Lasher, what a name, said it wasn't clear why there were so many unplanned outages. Wait, I have the answer right here. Because you're a bunch of fuck-ups, ERCOT. That's why. Why there's so many power outages is because Texas has decided, and we've covered this before, everyone, decided not to connect itself with the rest of the U.S. power grid. So that means they don't have to follow federal guidelines. Okay. Officials need to know why the fleet Okay, so let me start up here. A senior official with ERCOT, Warren Lasher, said it wasn't clear why there were so many unplanned outages, but he said that the group is deeply concerned about the plant's lies, and lies. I'm not going to give him any more space with lies. More than 40, in case you want a review about how bad, in case, you know, you're just tuning in and know nothing about Texas or its electrical grid or the problems that it had during the winter, here's a quick review, everyone. More than 40 people died during the February storm, many of them from exposure to cold or carbon monoxide poisoning while they were trying to keep warm. 6 ERCOT board members resigned in the days that followed. The CEO was fired in March. Legislators sought this month to strengthen the state's power grid, which isn't a subject to federal oversight. And the reason why it is not subject to federal oversight is because Texas politicians, by and large, are idiots. Though measures that will force companies to winterize parts of the grid seem critical, but experts told National Public Radio that the measures aren't enough. One critic told the network that it is an overstatement to call the new $5,000 per day penalties for non-compliant companies a rounding error. So that means if you're non-compliant, if you're an electricity producer, and if you don't comply with the regulations, you get slapped on the wrist with $5,000 a day, which really doesn't mean a lot when you're making tons of cash hand over fist. Gonna check out the chat. God is punishing the South for the science denial indeed, Rage. And John Hudson, we have 5 separate air conditioning units. So we have some Texas people here. You know, have you been shut off? Have there been blackouts? Have there been brownouts? I just realized, having watched the new Loki this morning, that saying the word variance is much more enjoyable now. It is. You're right, Rage. And once we get to the different variants who are female, and of course Loki has, and this is something, and this is important too, is that in the myths, Loki, gives birth. He's not a straight dude, Loki, in the original myths. And Marvel is really pushing new ground with this character. Almost hold the tune. I agree with you. All right, so that's it, everyone. I think that's, yeah. And Texas is punishing its citizens by wanting to be all alone but unable to achieve it. Well, that's the thing. There are benefits of being part of the federal grid. And Texas, because it's delusional, right? It's delusional that it doesn't want to be connected with the federal grid. Probably because people within Texas would have to start paying more money, or there'd have to be real change. And there are interests in Texas that don't want that to happen. Oh, dude, congratulations. 90% solar as of now. Job well done. All right. We're going to finish things up by doing something funny. We're going to do a quick review. And then, after party, after show, 10 o'clock, right? If you want to pop in, say words, meaningful words. It'll be a lot of fun. That's a 10. Let's do something.
In the middle of the night, there are people at Burger King. They are worshiping the devil at Burger King. Flame broiled for all eternity. Worshiping the devil at Burger King.
I'm going to guess he was a little high when he wrote that song. That's just a guess on my part, everyone. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. Comedy, blasphemy, atheism, news. We do all this stuff here, right? All right, so let's do the thank you video for patrons and YouTube members. Let's do that. And then I'll see you at 10 o'clock. I'll see you at 10 o'clock for the open room, right?